Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the Two Door Cinema Club album, Tourist History. This Two Door Cinema Club album is kind of seen as a classic in the subgenre of indie pop or indie alternative pop music. Throughout the 2010s, this album kind of dominated indie and alternative playlists, alternative or indie hit playlists with the songs What You Know and Something Good Can Work. Specifically What You Know, that song was huge. It was even featured in that weird short film by that guy as like Nothing Except Everything, I think was the name of the short film. It was really bad. Only good part of that whole little short film was the inclusion of What You Know, because it's a great song. In the world of music fans and music critics, this really is the only Two Door Cinema Club album that matters, and it is held in somewhat high regard. So my question today is this album great? And my answer to that question is yes, but. The album is great insofar as you feel good when you're listening to these songs, but I would be lying if I said the album didn't have flaws. As a general rule, the album isn't the most adventurous or creative or colorful thing out there. It can make you think that it is because it is so energetic, way more upbeat and energetic, and in my opinion, way more lively than any other album, including in the production. The album, it kind of feels like Torches by Foster the People in that way, where they just kind of packed like all this energy into one album, into this debut to really try to stand out, and it worked like a charm. I mean, these songs are bursting with energy, but I don't think there's a lot of new sounds on this album that are new for the genre. I think they're songs that are done relatively well. Not every single song is great. Some songs, like Do You Want It All, has kind of an annoying hook. And then I Can Talk, in my opinion, is just a weak song overall. It's the only really kind of bad song or, skip on the album, in my opinion. Other criticisms include the songs Cigarettes in the Theater and Undercover Martin. I think these songs are just a little bit too mild. It's not really that, I don't think either of these are bad songs. Like, I don't think the album is worse because of them, but they just aren't really, like, standouts like every other song in the album. And that is my way of saying that I think every other song in this album is pretty great. The other one negative aspect before I get into the positives is that the songwriting rarely makes an impact. The lead singer of this band, I don't even know his name, rarely says anything that interesting or impactful. The only song on the album that I feel like lyrically really does go somewhere and really does make an impact, I guess What You Know, the hook of What You Know in some of those lyrics, even though it's not terribly original. But the song Eat That Up, It's Good For You, talking about alcoholism, specifically looking at this young girl and how alcoholism affects her life and drugs. It's a pretty impactful song. It works very well. It's a very upbeat song, but it's very, very sad and very dark. And it comes to this really climactic, like, wall of sound near the end that just works wonders. So yeah, in terms of songwriting, the album isn't the strongest thing. As for the positives, this album is chock full of bops. It's only like 33 minutes long. It's almost all killer, barely any filler. Come Back Home is awesome. It's huge. It's epic. It's great. Do You Want It All sounds really cool production, really cool music on that song. I think the hook is a little bit too repetitive, but it's a good song minus that. This Is the Life is another one that kind of just hits you in the guts, that, just belting in that hook. It just, the vocals really work on this one. Something Good Can Work is just a really upbeat, fun song. You've probably heard it. It's a good one. What You Know is a classic, an amazing track. And then Eat That Up, It's Good For You, and You're Not Stubborn are also just really excellent indie pop songs, indie alternative pop songs. And you get a really good stretch of songs there right at the end. The last three, you get a banger after banger after banger right there at the end of the record, which is kind of nice. But overall, I think it's a good album. I'm going to be favorable on it. I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. I think it has flaws. I don't think it's like a masterpiece. I really was looking at this with rose-colored glasses, and then I kept listening to it, and I'm like, oh, there's flaws. Like, this song isn't amazing, or this song has a repetitive / annoying hook. This one doesn't add much to the record. The songwriting isn't that great. So I picked up on more flaws the more I listened to it, but it's still an enjoyable record. And that is basically it for this video. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this album. Like I said, it's very nostalgic for me. It ranked decently high. I put it above a couple other albums on my best albums of 2010 list. I absolutely think this is the best Two Door Cinema Club album, which is not an original take at all. I think anyone would agree with that. Like I said in my Gameshow review, the band is not a significant band. Like, I think they're most significant for just touring a lot and, like, going to music festivals and stuff, but they really aren't. They never had a popular album after Tourist History, this one. It's their most popular for a reason. It is their best work. And, I think it rightly deserves its kind of classic status, even if it's not really a masterpiece or in the same caliber as other albums, which are called a classic. But anyway, let me know what you think about the album, and have a good rest of your day.